Hello, welcome to the Froggy Five. I'm your host, Jim Fralick, and today I'm happy to be joined here with Brent Bowers from the Land Shark. We only talked briefly right beforehand. Brent and I have never met before, but we've exchanged some emails. Checked out Brent's site. He's a little bit of a celebrity online when it comes to land and land deals. Well, watch out for the rhino there behind him. So what I know about Brent from his site is that he's experienced a lot of success, at least over the last 7 years, depending on how updated your site is, Brent, and you live on 58 acres. Where are you at with your 4,000 square foot home at 58 acres?
So it's funny. We still own that property. We're now in Florida. We wanted to come be closer to grandparents, and It's been an incredible time. So we're no longer on 58 acres, unfortunately. We still have the property, and we're debating on selling it because we'd make a fortune on it and tax free because we lived in it 2 out of the last 5 years. But yeah, I am in Florida now. I'm in South Florida. We were in Colorado before. Colorado. Yeah, I guess I better update that.
They love it. Yeah, exactly. People think you're still in Colorado. Understand. So I grew up in South Florida. Whereabouts are you in Florida now?
So we're just north of West Palm Beach.
Okay. Got it. Near Fort Pierce or what? I grew up 60 miles from there, inland, in a little town.
Whereabouts?
Clewiston.
Oh, I know. So we played them in high school. I grew up in Okeechobee.
You grew up in Okeechobee? Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm Clewiston. I'm a bit older than you, as you could see with the gray beard. So yeah, we could tell a lot of Lake Okeechobee stories then. That's funny. Never run into anybody from the Lake Okeechobee area. So
they don't make it out. Well, I remember when we beat Clewiston in football, we had to be escorted out of there because that just wasn't a thing. You know, you don't beat the Clewiston team in football.
No, exactly. We had good baseball games back then. You guys were competitive us with, again, I'm dating myself. I'm in the 80s. Yeah, Okeechobee. In fact, we were a level up from Okeechobee back when I was in school. We were like 3A and 2A. But yeah, I could see you having rocks thrown at your bus or whatever. It was it was a little scary there, but good times. Made a great story. Yeah. That is wild. I have to get over that. I have to think. So Okeechobee, I'll put you in frame of Okeechobee, but you're over on the coast now. So you've made a way you can get nostalgic and go through the top of the lake there once in a while. So that is funny. And I love Colorado. I've done some projects out there, and probably inspired my original move to New Hampshire. I've been in New Hampshire 25 years, and sort of like driving in New Hampshire was the most on the East Coast to me that felt like Colorado, but I could still be on the East Coast, if that makes sense, if you're familiar with it all. But what part of Colorado?
We're in Colorado Springs area, and then we bought our ranch in South Pueblo County.
Okay, excellent. Love Colorado Springs. It's got a little overbuilt in the last several years, but yeah, first place I ever went, Peterson Air Force Base out there in Colorado, and fell in love with Pikes Peak. So I'll get off geography more, but land is important to both of us. Like a lot of our business with Froggy Companies, we're focusing on land and land development in northern New England as we could talk a lot about that, but I want to get into your business, Brent. I want to know how you came to be doing what you're doing and what it is that you do that gets people excited.
Yeah. I was stationed in Fort Carson. I was in the military. I was stationed out in Colorado Springs, and was preparing for my third combat deployment. And really, to make a long story short, I was tired of being away from home all the time, and I'd already went through one divorce, and I saw a second one on the horizon. I was like, I just can't keep leaving. And now there's children involved. I got to figure out something that will replace my income. I had to kind of replace my Army salary, and I found land investing through a podcast very similar to this. And no one was talking about land investing. I didn't know you could even make money from land. It was always said that you don't make money with land. You buy land and wait, for the path of progress. Well, I didn't have time to wait. I needed to make about $5,000 a month. And I had 2 kids in diapers and a new house and a new wife, and wives like to eat too. I had to figure it out, and I just started taking some crazy action and made a bunch of mistakes, but it kind of paid off.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So about what time frame was that when you've made that transition?
2016 was my first land deal.
Good. You're coming up on 10 years here soon.
Almost. Wow.
So
It's
great.
unbelievable how fast time flies.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the business. Now, I normally on the Froggy Five, I'm starting to change sort of some of the questions I ask. I want to really dig into what you do a little bit and make it more interesting. So when you make that transition, what are some of the first kind of deals you do? Like, how did you go about it from an education standpoint, from a first deal standpoint in the beginning? Take me into like how it went. Did it go glowingly? Did you have some bumps or what?
Oh yeah, there were several bumps, but I was just blown away. Honestly, I didn't believe it for the first many deals, for the first probably 10 deals. And I still can't believe it sometimes. We just bought one, but I'll get back to the first one, but we just bought one last week for 190,000 in Texas, and we already have it under contract for 275,000. I mean, that's a heck of a quick deal happening, a nice spread too. But the first deals were not like that. I was mailing people that were on the tax delinquent list, so they weren't paying their taxes for their land. And a lot of this land was so inefficient and not buildable, landlocked, not accessible. It was an accident actually that I was mailing the county held tax lien list. And for anybody listening to this, you don't really have to understand this. It's way easier to do land investing than what I was doing back then. I was just like, well, maybe I could mail people that are behind on their taxes and they'll want to sell me the land. Well, the county gave me the list of where the tax liens were for sale and no one was buying them. They thought I wanted to pay the back taxes, which I didn't have any money to pay that. So I mailed these people a simple postcard. And if anybody wants a copy of it, they can just go to the landsharks.com/postcard and they can get a copy of it. But it was a handwritten card. It said, hey, I'd like to buy your land in El Paso County, Colorado. If you're interested in an all cash fair price offer, call me or text me and God bless you. And I mailed about 680 of those letters, those postcards. This was back when like mail was like 45 cents a letter, postcard. And my phone rang. And the first one that I did was I bought for $285 and sold it to a realtor for $5,000 within like a week's time. So this guy I heard on a podcast talking about doubling and tripling his money overnight. He was not lying. I actually more than tripled my money. And then about 2 weeks later, I did another one very similar to that. I bought for $500 and this one was landlocked. So I didn't have much faith in the land, but I was like, well, if I can get my $500 back out of it, I'll be happy. So I posted pictures of it on Craigslist. I said, I'll take $500 down, $400 a month for a total of $5,000. And I had someone literally the next day bring me $500 cash and I got all my money back out of that deal. And now I was a bank. I had a monthly payment coming to me and that was paying my truck payment. And I was like, okay, if we can, I told Emily, my wife, I was like, we can keep doing this. This is our financial freedom. This is how I get out of the military. So the rest is history. I just kept doing it. And then the deals got bigger and bigger and bigger. Before we knew it, we had almost 100 notes coming in, paying us every single month. And I was like, these weren't like rental properties because my rental property sucked. There was always something breaking. Oh my God. So I'm trying to sell a lot of my rental properties right now. I bought a lot of houses over the years for tax incentives and because I needed tax shelters to save some of this money that I was making. And, I just listed one and it was such an amazing house. Like we've been going negative in it for 3 years, but the tenants were awesome. They paid on time. They left it clean. All I had to do was shampoo the car or steam clean the carpets and clean the house. And we listed it last Thursday. I listed it at a good price because I want to trade up. I want to get rid of those negative cash flows and get like either a mobile home park because I'll still own land, but I'll collect lot rent and that thing would cash flow like crazy, but I'm a little afraid of the management. Now that's a new venture for me. But the next day we got a call from the first showing. They said, you got to get over here now. This is urgent. Your ceiling has caved in. There's water everywhere. Pueblo County Water turned the water off. So the boiler failed and literally froze the pipes and then kicked back on and then exploded each one of the heat exchangers in each room. So it's an absolute catastrophe. I never had those problems with land.
Exactly. I think, yeah, property management sucks. I don't know. Some people just have a knack for property management. I got into this business dreaming of owning 10,000 units, and I did the math, and I'll have this passive income, and we'll take D stuff and turn it into C class, and C class turned into B class. And I read, the ABCs of real estate investing, and I had some false steps younger in my career, kind of like when you started, when I was in the Air Force, and I was thinking about it. And then my wife managed a few properties, and I, by default on the side, was like, well, she's better with people. She's better with contractors. She's more willing to be confrontational, and I'm more passive or aggressive. You know what I mean? I'm either on one end or the other extreme. I said, this is not the best combination for property management, but yet, and an Okeechobee guy will appreciate this, but if you've had to move convicted meth heads out 2 a.m. in the morning and help them, a week past the time the sheriff changed the locks, it becomes a stressful situation. You know what I mean? When you're having to move other people's pit bull lines from in front of the driveway for your other tenants to get to their apartment. You're like, you know what? This whole property management thing. So land, this has interested me for a while, and always with that aspect of what you've alluded to, which is finance, which is offering owner financing on the land, because when if people default, and I'm sure you've had this happen over time, you've still got the land, and now you can resell it again, right?
But yeah, a lot of times for even more. It's funny. I have some land in a place in Pennsylvania, Finleyville, Pennsylvania. I've never been there. We ended up getting 3 parcels of land for free. I sold the land, and then the guy contacts me after several months of paying me. He said, hey, I found your YouTube channel. I learned about what you do. I don't want the land. You can have it back. So I was like, okay, thanks for all those payments. So he wanted to go and do it himself, what I was doing. And I sat on that land. I never tried to sell it anymore. And then the city reached out wanting to buy it. So now they're going to buy one of the parcels from me for $10,000. I'm just like, this is nuts. Like, this is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it sounds like a great business model. And like you said, you do want to shelter some of that money. RV parks and trailer parks are good places to do that. I had a guy, he's known as a debt-free doctor. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's really good, but he does RV parks and mobile home parks. And on one of our webinars, he talked about the bonus depreciation and then 1031 exchanging those. It's like these guys got a racket where they're really like not paying taxes to the fullest extent you can, because they're 1031 exchanging them and they're getting all this appreciation up front. And I think RV parks and mobile home parks have the best for that. I wanted to thank you for your combat service. It's different than me being in a cushy office back in the 90s, and I also wanted to say for anybody watching, like, guys from the swamp around Okeechobee pointing a gun at you is something you don't want to see. So I'm sure it was a fierce time, but thank you for that.
Oh yeah, it was seems like a lifetime ago now. I've been out since 2018, but it was fun while it lasted. And I tried to join the Air Force. They wouldn't let me. I wasn't smart enough. I had a little bit of a fighting record on fighting on my record. So the Air Force is like, no, you go to the Army, they'll take anybody. So I'm pretty coachable.
Yeah. We don't take, they barely take anybody out of Clewiston. They're certainly not going to take anybody from Okeechobee into the Air Force.
Oh yeah, here we go.
But so putting those going towards the mobile home park, I mean, it seems like a good strategy. Other than, if you can hire somebody that's good at property management, I know a few guys that do that have a knack for it and are good at it, then maybe you'll be relieved a little bit if you don't have to be called about, frozen pipes, which you won't be in Florida. It'll be about broken air conditioners, right? But
my goal would be to sell all the units to the tenants and just collect lot rent, and eventually convert 55 and older. That's seems like the way to go. But again, it's a whole nother strategy. It's like, because land, we make a lot of money in the land business, but there's no tax shelters. So where do we take that money now to get that tax shelter and then further cash flowing income? I've been doing pretty well with light industrial buildings. And I know that's not what this podcast was about. It's about how to make money in land. But after about a year or two of making money, it's when you realize you're paying 50% of it to the IRS, you got to figure something else out. There's always a new challenge in business.
Yeah. Well, that's an easier lift to get to the light industrial too. If you're really good at locating land and getting it at good value, the land basis building out, we're small partners on a property near the Manchester, New Hampshire airport that's now approved for 270,000 square foot. So that's a little bit bigger than the industrial side. But the building it out, getting entitled, generally easier unless there was some kind of environmental problem there. And then building it out is much easier than residential builds, right? So what have you done with light industrial? I'm just curious.
Yeah, not much. I've just been buying the buildings that were already built out, just real like 4 bays, with a small, tiny little office. My niche seems to be around 25 to 2,600 square foot, is where I seem to be fitting in. And I'm not buying them at massive discounts. I'm really just buying them at full retail. Sometimes the sellers will finance. Sometimes I will have to get a bank loan. So those have been working out pretty well. I prefer those over like the residential houses or apartment complexes. Because again, when you're managing where people lay their heads at night, it's a little bit more intense.
Sure. You're okay. So that makes sense. You're buying cash flowing. Then have you bought any cash flowing? Have you done any self storage yet? That's another logical place for a guy like you.
I have not. I don't know if that ship has sailed or not. I'm sure there's still more opportunity in other areas. I just saw so many people talking about it. Same thing with the, house flipping and house wholesaling. When your barista at Starbucks is talking about the house he flipped, it's almost too late type thing.
Yeah.
So I tend to go after, so I'm from Okeechobee. We have more cows than people. I know about cows. I know about herds. I never want to follow the herd because I think when the herd goes off the cliff, they all die. So I want to be a little bit different from everyone else. So that's why I chose land investing.
Nice. Smart. So let's get into the mechanics of it a little bit. So in the mechanics of it, so now we've got everybody's using AI. There's meta advertising. You started with Craigslist and postcards and taking the list. So, step us through you don't have to give the secrets away because you have a course, I guess, that people, I'm assuming, buy or pay. So to whatever extent you feel like it, walk us through.
Yeah, no, I'll give it all away.
Mechanics.
I can't work with everyone. I can only work with a few people a month. And, at this point, so our coaching is pretty full. I'll take on certain people. I love working with veterans and military guys and gals. But, again, it's almost like I can do a land deal. I used to do 9 land deals a week. Now we try to do 1 a month. But the more I try and slow down, the better the opportunities get. And it's like, goodness gracious, it's almost like we say no more often than we could say yes. But sorry, I asked the question again. I want to make sure I heard you fully.
So tell me, because I'm really into land entitlement and building deals and ground up development, but I need to get in on some of this land action. Since we have a GIS system, we're opening up the first national land realty brokerages in New Hampshire and Maine. That's a national land brokerage, but they're in New Hampshire and Maine, with the focus of being that we're on this latest GIS platform. We're looking at areas of potential growth. We're entitling land because we're trying to do affordable workforce housing. That's one of our focuses. So that's one of our focuses is that we're saying this, it's too aggressive probably, but 10,000 affordable homes that people can actually own or lease to own across New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont over the next 10 years while trying to create 10,000 sustainable jobs to go with them, like manufacturing and stuff like that, panelized factory we're looking at. So, but I love to make money as easy as possible. So along the way in there's a lot of land. There's going to be looking at a lot of land that we're going to be examining. Tell me how I utilize tools, what we're already doing to go ahead and start snapping up some land that I normally would bypass. I'm like landlocked. I'm looking for road frontage. I'm looking for amenities. I'm looking for not too hard to get approved or rezoned.
Yeah.
But, so I haven't thought for a long time about getting pieces of land and just flipping, putting them up for sale. So how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe land investing is the fastest, easiest, most affordable way for someone to get started in real estate. When I hear about what you're doing, I'm thinking millions and millions of dollars. I guess I need a rich friend in Dubai to help me lend some money that he's sitting on, maybe 50 million that they need to put to work. But not everyone has access to that. So, but how how I started was I went after the tax delinquent land, but there was a problem with that. A lot of times I had to go and create demand for that land. So I had to do a lot of advertising on Facebook and Craigslist and social media, putting out signs, reaching out to the neighbors, seeing if they want this landlocked land. Now I've changed the strategy completely. I figure out where there's demand. I go on Redfin, or I look at the inbound states like the Carolinas and Georgia and Texas and Florida. Probably missing a few, Tennessee. I look where people are moving to, and then I go on Redfin and I look at the land that's selling in the past 3 to 6 months, and I see where the heat maps are, the red dots. Like I want to see where the land's selling. And once I see a nice little tight cluster pattern, when we're like sighting in our weapon system, we want to get a tight little group, right? So I try and get as tight as possible, and I pick out that area, and then I'll price out that land. I'll figure out what it's selling for by the acre, what it's selling for by the square foot. And then I use a program. If someone goes to the landsharks.com/CRM, that's the program I use. And I mail out what's called a land offer letter, or an LOL. Because every time I get one of these things signed and sent back to me, it's a purchase agreement to buy a piece of land at a smoking hot discount that I'm going to make anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 on each one of these. So I laugh out loud, the LOL. So if anybody wants a copy of that, they can go to the landsharks.com/LOL. It's free. Go and use it. Take action with it. So I missed a step though. Let me back up. So I price the land, and then I pull a list. Of people that are in that area, that I just priced the land out. And you can get that list at the landsharkslist.com. You can get a 7-day free trial of PropStream if you use that, or maybe you have a list providing service you use, Jim. Honestly, any of them work. But pull that list, and then you go to mail that list, mail those LOLs. And most people are not going to accept my offers. Most people are going to throw them in the trash. Some people will call and yell at us for insulting them. And it's crazy. Like, do they call Capital One when they get a piece of mail? I don't know. But some people will accept it, and they'll sign that thing and they'll email it back to me. And now I have a deal. I see that everything else in that area is selling for $50,000 an acre, $50,000 per lot. And these people just signed my letter at $29,500. I now have an asset that's worth $50,000 that I could buy for $30,000. I can call you, Jim, because I see you're buying land in that area, and I say, hey, Jim, would you be interested? I got a lot for sale. I'm asking $40,000 for it. I see you've been paying $50,000. I don't know if this is a good enough deal for you. Would you be interested in hearing more about it? And you say yes or no, and I just keep calling until I find someone. That's a quick way to make $10,000, $10,000, or I can buy it. My preferred method: buy it for $29,000. Sell it to Bob the buyer or Bob the builder on payments for a year at 12% interest. And literally 75% of the payments I collect is pretty much all interest, because I love to seller finance this land. I want to be the bank. Because there's a reason why the banks are the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state. It's because they know about money. I didn't create any of this. I just I don't even know if I perfected. I still make mistakes all the time. But I just am playing the game that I'm learning from others and put a system together, because if you follow these step by step, it's just a matter of time before you have enough passive income to be able to quit your job and live life on your terms.
Which you've done. And now you're down in Florida. You bought an RV before. I don't know if you still have that RV.
Yeah, we got a bigger one now. I got one that you drive. I'm going so we race 4-wheelers too. So we're going out in the RV this Friday.
Not surprised. Okeechobee guy races 4-wheelers. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We were just out in Okeechobee 2 weekends ago. This weekend we'll be in Indiantown. But yeah, man, we're going to pull our race bikes, and my 9-year-old's getting into it as well. My wife's excited about it. So it's been a blast to do it, but we have a lot of fun so we schedule work around our fun, because I don't want to wait until I'm 65 to retire. My dad's 65, and man, he got ran over by a truck. And like he got ran over by a truck when he was younger, and he's like, he could barely walk. Like, I don't want to be in that shape when I finally get to retire.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that about him, but I'm glad he was able to have you and continue the line down.
Yeah, no, he's still alive. Right. He's still alive. He's tougher than nails, but
is he from Okeechobee too?
Yeah.
People run people over with trucks there too. I'm telling you,
that's where dangerous. It happens. That's where it happens.
Dangerous around the lake.
It is, and I don't. You won't catch me in Clewiston by myself either. I ain't stupid.
Yeah, there were tough times. Funny, yeah. America's sweetest town, they say. So yeah, well, they're leaving out a few details. Leaving out a few details
well, because it's a sugar. Y'all grow this sugar. That's the only reason why it's sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I love your business model. I love your enthusiasm. You're laying out everything here for us to make millions with, really, over time. Start making passive income. It's
that's so true.
So what I want to hone in on something you said there with the. Oh, well, let me first say, ironically, I'm pretty sure my wife threw one of those away yesterday. I have to dig in the trash and see if that came from you, because we have a lot.
How dare her? How dare her?
It's $50,000 we paid for it. Our one son's building a log home on it, but we got something, and somebody said, "Would you sell it for $28,000?" So your numbers sounded a lot like.
Yeah, it probably was me. Montura is an area I like over there. Montura, because sometimes I just call my land specialist realtor and I say, "Hey, where do people want to buy land?" And he points me in the right direction as well.
Montura Ranch, okay.
I think it's Montura. Montura. So.
I know that area back towards the stomping ground. So yeah, I have to. Well, my dad's buried in Clewiston, so I go back there once in a while. So there's some land. I have some buddies back there too that are always saying, "Hey, I'll buy the airport in Clewiston. There's a growth area that might be worth picking up some land in." So we'll have to talk offline about. I don't usually think about, it's a proverbial joke. I'll sell you some swampland in Florida. So I'm usually not thinking about that.
Funny you say that. My parents own 11 acres of swampland that's surrounded by South Florida Water Management, and they rent it out to a hunter for $6,000 a year cash paid in advance for the whole year. And they've been doing this for years. And I know it's worth way more than that. But yeah, I mean, there's piles of deer and turkey and hogs that come through there. So yeah, you can make money with swampland.
That's amazing. Yeah. One of my best friends from high school. It's funny. I saw him with pictures of hog. Like he loves taking dogs into the swamp and hunting these hogs, which is very dangerous apparently. But I could see that little plot of swampland with some wildlife in it for some go boys to go and have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
Track down stuff. So the services that you use, so I'm going to go look this up. The CRM you use, is it one of the popular ones, or you have a homegrown CRM for that?
So this is actually built by land investing guys that turned into, they're like, how can we solve our problem for this CRM? It's called Pebble, but it's absolutely amazing. Like that's how I mail letters directly from there. That's where my calls go into. It's how I track my deals. It's how I send neighbor letters. We just sold a piece of land in Georgia, and it was listed with a real estate agent. The lady 3 properties down bought it from us. So we send neighbor letters out to the neighbors and say, "Hey, this land's for sale. We'll even sell or finance it to you."
So what's a realistic starting budget, you think? If someone wanted to start small, I know people can bootstrap it and just start writing everything by hand, but if you were going to set up your system from scratch, and you're like, "Oh, I got to print out labels or whatever, how much am I going to mail? What's my postage going to be like?" What would you recommend a guy like me, just a middle-class guy that's like, "Hey, I don't want to spend too much," but what would you say would be a good starting and a ramp to give yourself to start seeing some success?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, because every area is different, and I'd rather it be on whoever's listening to this or your budget, rather than treat this like a slot machine, because, in business, we got to be consistent. Like I love the dollar cost average real estate. I'm always buying real estate. It's like people dollar cost average stocks. So you should always be marketing. So you almost have to set a budget. Like, what can you afford to spend for the next 6 months if you don't do a deal? Now, if you say I have $100 a week, then yeah, great. That would work. It will eventually work if you do the absolute right steps, mail the right people, the right message, and eventually it's the right timing for them, and you'll do a deal. But you might have to do some free things in addition, like get on the phone and start dialing for dollars. That's the thing a lot of our brand new land sharks do. But the sweet spot, I would say, $500 a month. Start there. I have a guy that I talked to yesterday. He goes, I just rented an office building, and I can't afford to do marketing yet. And I was like, I will get rid of the office building and spend money on marketing. And because the marketing is what like if you're spending $1, you should make $3 back on your marketing. But what's your office making you? My office was costing me money every month. I had to pay for the coffee and the cleaning service and all these things. And then during COVID, they wanted me to put all this bullcrap in there, and I was the only one using it. And I was like, heck with this. I'm going to rent this place out. And I rented the office building out in like 2019. I just have been renting it out ever since. And then I depreciated the building. It saved me a bunch of money in taxes, and the tenants are paying down my mortgage. And I just got an offer from a developer for $927,000. Here's the caveat though. They want the building next door, which is on the corner lot. So I'm like, good luck with that. They're never going to sell it.
Good. So you did cost segregation on that as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice. So that LOL, I think you called it, does that list also have phone numbers generally? Are you pretty good at getting phone numbers from people? I've had trouble with that on my Meta list. So
the LOL is my mail piece. That is the purchase agreement. If anybody wants a copy of that, go to the landsharks.com/LOL. I get the list. So once I find on Redfin where the land's selling, and then I price that land out by the square foot or by the acre, what it's selling for, I'll go and pull a list in that exact area from the landsharkslist.com, the landsharkslist.com.
Okay.
And that's where I pull the list, and then I'll mail it with Pebble, which is my CRM.
When do you find yourself getting most success on, if you could say, in terms of like getting return calls or feedback through email or what? You know, I don't pick up anything that solicitors are calling. So, and I'm used to calling people and nobody picking up as well.
Yeah. I don't call really. I don't text really. There have been times where I'll need to call, which is like when I gave that example of the cash buyers list, I'll reach out to them. But yeah, I don't generally call landowners because I don't pick up either. I get a lot of texts, people wanting to buy my land. I get a lot of cold calls, but my phone stays in do not disturb, and I save everyone's number that I want to talk to. The rest don't get answered.
Nice. So generally what do you get stuff back by mail or by email?
Yeah, they'll send them in the United States Postal Service. They'll sign it and send it back that way. Sometimes they'll fax it and send it back to us. So I give them 3 options. Well, actually I have 4. I will give them our business phone line, which my office manager will answer or return the calls. I'll give them a fax number that they can fax the offer back after they sign it. And they'll have our return mailing address as well as my email. And all those we'll put it into our CRM so we can see it.
Great. All right. So awesome, Brent. It's been good to know you. I'll ask you one more question before I let you go here and get on with your 9-year-old birthday you have to celebrate today.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Congratulations on that. So, and that question is, it almost just slipped my mind, but what's the biggest land deal you've done so far? What could you say is like give us with a big inspirational deal?
I bought one for $1.2 million. I hope we're about to partner up with a builder that's going to build on it for us. And we're going to split profits, but I've got one right now. We're under contract and we're in the kind of beginning stages of it. We have it under contract for $420,000. We're going to put about $100K into the entitlements. So what does that mean? Basically, for anybody listening to this, we're doing a wetland study. We are getting a survey. We're going to do a new plat map. Then we got to get engineering drawings done. So we'll have about $100K into it. And we got about a 1-year contract on it with the seller with an extension period. And then we're planning to, once we're completely entitled, everything's ready to go, we're going to turn all that over to a builder, and we're going to basically assign our contract to that builder for about $2 million.
For about $2 million.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's who you want to double your price. It's funny, we're doing this right now. You want to double ideally with the land entitlement, you want to double what you get or close to it if you can, right?
I'd be happy with double. I would absolutely be happy with $850,000.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not a bad day's work, especially if you're pretty confident on the entitlements. So,
yeah, I've been very careful with those. I make sure we have an operator on the ground that's worked with the city councils, the city managers, the city's willing to annex it in. No tap fees are waived, all that stuff. So it's almost like you want to kind of I never want to go against the grain. I want to go with the grains.
Well, good luck on that deal. That sounds awesome and amazing. And the whole discussion has been amazing for me and to get to meet you. So obviously you've given the landsharks.com people to go try to reach you. Anything else you want to share with the listeners? Don't call you. You'll call them.
Take action. Just take action, and just don't get me wrong. I actually love talking to people about building their land business. That is absolutely my passion. I enjoy these podcasts because I just want to give it all away. And I think the more I give away, the more it comes back to me. It's just unbelievably amazing, as far as how abundant the Lord has been. So go to thelandsharks.com. If you want to schedule a call, I would be honored to chat with anybody, help them get started. So many people have helped me along the way. I've been practicing real estate since 2007. I bought that first house in Okeechobee, that first rental property. So it's a long journey, lots of books, lots of money invested, lots of mistakes, and lots of people that helped me.
Thank you for taking the time today, Brent. And I'll probably be the first guy on your list giving you a call because I'm interested in dipping my toe into the waters on this front while we're doing land entitlements. We would probably strike up a deal. So I'll talk to you soon. And
God bless, Jim. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. If anybody else wants to find out more about what we're doing, please come to froggycompanies.com. Check out our 3 different business areas. It's great talking to you, and see you next time.